Assalamu alaikum guys, this is Ahmed Mawar aka Mr. Middlepath, and today's Friday. I should really call this the Saturday vlog because I always end up posting these videos on Saturday. What happened last week was that I went to a Turkish mosque in Maryland, and they spent like a lot of money on this mosque. It was like a replica of one of the historic mosques in Turkey that was actually built during the time of the Ottomans. So they made a replica of that here in America, and my friend, he kind of knows some of the people there, so we went together and it was a nice experience. I got some video, but I'm not that good at editing, so I didn't really take the time and the effort to like mesh all of the little clips together to make a Friday video. So I was like, all right, I'm just not gonna make a Friday video today. That was talking about last week. Today I just want to update you a little bit. I got a job, alhamdulillah. It's like close to social work, what I do, and I used to work in a psychiatric hospital in Egypt before I moved back here. Basically, I worked in a psychiatric hospital in Egypt. I lived there for a year. I had like some very amazing experiences. I came back here. I tried to pursue a master's degree in counseling. I thought that was a shortcut to psychology because I wanted to get a PhD in clinical psychology, but I kind of messed around in school. And when I was in college, I wasn't really focused, so I got bad grades. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can get into counseling. It's easier. And then my grades that I get for the master's degree will circumvent the old bachelor's degree grades that I got, right? So I did that. I applied. I got all the way up to the interview process, and I failed the interview process because they were asking directly, what's my opinion, or how would I treat someone who had homosexuality, all right, who was having homosexual urges. And then I just, I wrote down my honest opinion. I didn't really flower it because it's like, if you lie about this, how you feel or what your personal views are, then you're gonna have to keep lying about it for the whole 2 years that you're doing your master's degree. So what's the point? So I just said, in Islam we condemn the action, right? Not the feeling or the thought or the orientation. It's the action that is condemned, right? Not the person. And my main problem in trying to treat someone who is homosexual is that maybe I would push my narrative upon them, and I would have to be aware of that and try and see like where this person is coming from. And I also said something that I believe is true, which was that let's see where the homosexuality is coming from. What is the source? Maybe someone went through something in childhood, and the homosexuality is a mask for a different problem, right? And I kind of went in. I didn't really go into the philosophy of ethics of where right and wrong comes from. But I'm recording, by the way. I propped the phone on my laptop, and so like I'm recording like this. So if you're not used to this kind of like top-down view, I apologize. But no, I don't apologize. I didn't really do anything wrong. But just letting you guys know that it's really hot, so I don't want to record outside in my balcony. I'm recording here in the nice air condition. So where was I? What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I said all of that, and I didn't get accepted. They didn't want me. It's a very liberal school that I applied to. So I think they were looking for someone who just accepts homosexuality and takes it as a given fact that it is a sexual orientation. Whereas my view is that, if we're going to talk about ethics and okay, we're going to accept the fact that someone has a homosexual orientation or he has homosexual tendencies from genetic predisposition, then I can also say that, okay, well, someone has aggressive tendencies because he's genetically predisposed to being aggressive. So should we nurture that and accept that aggression and let him be aggressive? Or what about someone who has urges to do certain types of drugs that are harmful to himself, like heroin? Are we obliged then, as a psychologist, I'm speaking from the point of view of my profession as a psychologist, to allow this person to do heroin and to just give them the mental support that they need, as long as that person isn't harming other people and he wants to do it and doesn't think that there's a problem? Or do we say, no, this is going to lead to disastrous consequences, we should convince you to stop? So when you're coming from the point of view of secular humanism, which is the dominant viewpoint in psychology, meaning that morals don't come from religious scriptures, they only come from the human itself, then ethics become completely subjective, and you have no right or wrong except what the person believes is right or wrong. Like like how someone says, oh, I like chocolate, another person says, I like strawberry, I don't like chocolate. Morals becomes the same thing. It no longer has objectivity. It's no longer absolute. So someone can say, I want to be homosexual, and that would be completely fine from the point of view of secular humanist psychology. And I was coming from a different point of view, which is, why should I accept that full stop without questioning it? Like, people are mad about religious people because many religious people are dogmatic. They're very like, oh, it's my way or the highway, and this is it, and I'm not willing to listen to other points of view. But on the flip side, the people who are liberal and open-minded are doing the same thing to the other side. They're saying, you have to accept our point of view. Being homosexual is completely fine. You have to accept it without question. If someone wants to do whatever drugs they want to do, as long as they're not harming anyone else, you have to accept that. So there's a lot of hypocrisy on both sides. There's extremism on the far right, or the conservative people, and the far left, which are the liberal people, and there's really no middle path. I'm just rambling here right now. So scientifically, there's a lot of studies where anal sex causes harm to the body. Homosexual people have higher suicide rates, and so on and so forth. More likely to have mental illnesses, and people will say, it's debatable still, people will say that, oh no, it's just because society hasn't accepted them, right? And they'll kind of know other points of view of look at the Greek people, they were homosexual and they were completely fine. Well, I don't want to get into what the Greeks used to do, but what they used to do back in the past would not be acceptable by any standards that we have today, even if your morals are subjective according to Western standards. So I don't want to get into that. The video will get too long. And then after I got my rejection letter, I ended up getting into a conversation with some professor, doctor guy about homosexuality. And at that time, I had already written my letter in the interview, and I had already gotten my rejection. So it was still fresh in my mind, the conversation. Or it was a little bit before the rejection, but the conversation was still fresh in my mind. So he was saying, oh, it's genetic, you have to accept it, blah, 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 blah. There is no programs that allow you to leave behind your homosexual orientation. I was like, listen, man, I know someone who had these thoughts, and he was obsessing over it a little bit, and then he talked to his sheikh or his scholar, and that sheikh said, just lower your gaze and it'll pass, and it's normal. You're not married, and you're just you're looking too long at this guy's attractive. We all have in us the ability to say, even as a guy, I can look at another guy and say, yo, that's a handsome looking man, right? We know this. If you have a daughter and someone wants to marry your daughter and he's an ugly looking guy, you don't have to be gay to know that that's an ugly looking guy. You as a guy, without being physically attracted to him, you can say that's an ugly looking guy. So just as we have this idea of ugly and not ugly, that idea can go to the next level if you keep thinking about it. Be like, that's attractive, that's not attractive, oh, I'm attracted, I'm not attracted. And the Islamic point of view is actually was a very therapeutic point of view. I was reading some of the old books like Ihya Ulumuddin and this type of stuff, where the scholars would just pray for you, make dua for you, and try and give you advice on lowering the gaze. And they had different opinions, such as, oh, someone is attracted to a little boy, it may be because that boy has some feminine features in him that confuse the man. And they had a whole list of, they had whole categories of the homosexuality, where does it come from, what is it. It's so it wasn't like today, right? Today it's like a reaction, oh my god, you're gay, let's kill you, but there are actual people who suffer from this problem, and they want to, they need help, right? And it's harmful for someone to just come and say, hey, just be gay, accept it, and do as you please. And it's also harmful for someone to say, what's wrong with you, how dare you. The way that those scholars handled it, the guy that I know of, the way that those scholars handled it was by just accepting it and saying, hey, this can happen to people, just lower your gaze and it'll pass. Just them saying that it's okay made the guy not freak out, because the guy was freaking out when it happened. Made the guy not freak out, and eventually he got married, and he doesn't have these thoughts anymore. It's okay to have the thought or the feeling. It's not okay to act upon it. And then if you lower your gaze, the thought or the feeling will go away, or it will pass, or it will weaken eventually. That's what they said. I don't want people to think, oh, they meant it's okay to do it. No, they meant it's fine that the thought or the feeling happened to you. They didn't mean it's okay to act upon it, right? And then people can say, oh, well, I got it when I was a kid. There's still so much research I want to do on this topic. It's very fascinating. It's very interesting, because now we're having ideas pushed on us as if they were religious dogma. Like, it's like people make fun of religious people for having these beliefs, right, without any proof. But then they throw the other side and say, oh, you have to believe what we believe, and we don't have any proof. And then they'll cover it up with some science, but the science is unclear. Science cannot tell us what is morally right or morally wrong. It can tell us if a behavior is harmful or not harmful. It can lead us into answers of why the behavior is harmful, but it cannot say without a shadow of a doubt, this is wrong or this is right. Morals is outside of the scope of science. It's part of the realm of religion, spirituality, and philosophy, right? And without religion, morals don't have an absolute basis, because it'll just become a subjective opinion. So anyways, oh man, I went on a big... So anyways, I didn't get accepted into the master's degree program, but alhamdulillah, I found a job in social work. And yeah, man, we'll see how that goes, inshallah. And I'll let you guys know what's going on in my life next week. I probably won't let you guys know what's going on in my life next week. I want to get ready for Ramadan, so I'll probably talk a little bit about that and some important topics with that. And as for the playlist that I'm getting ready to do, it should be ready in a few days, inshallah. So just bear with me. Take care, peace out, and assalamu alaikum. And if you guys want a longer topic and conversation about homosexuality, the Islamic view of homosexuality, is homosexuality 100% like a genetic tendency, as I was mentioning earlier? Is it a disease, or is it curable? There's a whole history behind it. You're probably going to have to wait for 1.5 or 2 years before I get all the research ready, because that was never my main focus of study. It's probably going to be later on, because it's become such a hot topic now, and especially if you're working in the mental health field, then you have to know what's up. But I'm a Muslim. I will not tell anyone to do anything that goes against my own religious values. So that's probably why I didn't get accepted into the master's degree program. And we'll see how much that hinders me in my job, or how much that helps me, inshallah. Take care, guys. Peace out, and assalamu alaikum.